Hi, for the first part, I'll be presenting about the extract of our report. For the first point is the study is to evaluate Malaysia poverty reduction. Secondly, policies by identifying their strength gaps and future direction. Thirdly, it focuses on regions with persistent poverty, for example, Sabah, Sarawak, and Kelantan, and also aligned with Sustainable Development Goal 1, which is no poverty. For the fourth point is a mixed methods approach was used in order for us to combining a, a structured survey of 103 young people with a literature review of government policies and academic research. Next, these findings highlights that key issues such as a float, poverty line, income, which is PLI, definition, unequal program access, and ineffective aid delivery. Next, the study calls for more inclusive, targeted, and transparent poverty strategies tailored to local needs. And the lastly it is to aim to support policy reform that promotes equity, sustainability, and a long-term development across all community.
Okay, for the introduction, the purpose of the study is clearly stated, which is it aims to evaluate the effectiveness of Malaysia's poverty reduction policies, identify existing gaps, and propose future improvements. The focus is on addressing regional disparities and aligning effects with Sustainable Development Goal number 1, which is no poverty. This clear objective set a strong foundation for the study. It provides strong background information on Malaysia's poverty trends, highlighting process from 1970 to 2009. It effectively emphasizes the relevance of Sustainable Development Goal (SDG) 1, no poverty, and discusses regional disparities instead like Sabah, Sarawak, and Kelantan. However, there are some repetition of facts, and the original of the research is not solely emphasized as similar studies have been conducted. Additionally, while the introduction discusses important issues like the flaws in the poverty line, income, PLI, it could be improved by presenting a clear research gap and especially stating the research objective or questions. Okay, for the methodology, first is quantitative survey. A structured question was used to collect data from 103 respondents focusing on perceptions of poverty policies. The data collected was analyzed using descriptive statistics. Second, purposive and stratified sampling. Purposive sampling was used to target individuals knowledgeable about poverty-related issues, most students and youths. Second, stratified sampling was applied to ensure diverse representation across regions, urban or rural, and income levels, below or above poverty line income. Next, secondary data review. A true literature review was conducted analyzing government report and academic studies related to poverty in Malaysia. This helps support the survey findings and provide the context to identify long-term policy gaps and weaknesses.
For the result, first, authors follow a precise procedure when generating the probability distribution function, where the research adopted a mixed method approach combining qualitative and quantitative technique for a comprehensive analysis. Second, the assumption made by the writers were reasonable and supported by a prior research. It was assumed that survey participants provided truthful and accurate response to the best of their knowledge and experience. Third, the article's table and graph provided comprehensive explanation and insightful information about the radiative forming of aviation emission. The study presented findings from both primary data and the secondary data. And lastly, the article primary findings were clear and supported by the data. The finding clearly identified that a significant majority of respondents, by 82.5%, were aware of government poverty reduction policies.
Okay, for the discussion, the author made it very clear in the discussion how the research fits into the context of its field. The research explicitly states its alignment with Sustainable Development Goal 1 (SDG 1) that is no poverty. Okay, for the point number 2, the discussion provides a comprehensive overview of poverty reduction, offering insight into projection for the future. It highlights the persistent challenge of poverty in specific regions like Sabah, Sarawak, and Kelantan, and among marginalized groups. For the point 3, the author answered the overall research question in the discussion with the support of prior research. The study evaluated Malaysia poverty reduction policies, examining the effectiveness, existing gaps, and future direction. Okay, for the last points, the article made an important contribution of the field by highlighting the impacts of policy implementation gaps on vulnerable communities. The research underscores the importance of improving access, transparency, and policy execution to ensure that no vulnerable group is left behind.
Lastly, for the last part, we will be continue with conclusion. Malaysia has achieved a remarkable success in reducing national poverty level since gaining independence, largely through strategic national development plans and targeted initiatives. However, this study reveals that poverty remains a complex and persistent issue, particularly in specific regions like Sabah, Sarawak, and Kelantan, and among marginalized groups such as rural communities. Despite overall national improvement, these pockets of deprivation indicates that past policies have not fully achieved inclusive and equitable development. For instance, through a mixed method approach utilizing both a primary survey and comprehensive literature review, the research highlights concerning trends. For example, limited effective post-pandemic. Post-pandemic poverty reduction efforts appear limited, with over half of a survey respondents rating them as ineffective or highly ineffective. This aligns with literature showing a resurgence of absolute poverty, post-COVID-19, and a short-term nature of some government intervention.